Welcome to the Veterans in Politics Talk Show. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, live stream on Facebook.
Welcome to the joint Veterans Endorsement Interviews for Non-Judicial Candidates. At the outset, we would like to formally recognize and thank our sponsoring organizations for making today's event possible. Judge Mary Perry, Clark County District Court Family Division Department P. Christine Brewer, Clark County District Court Family Division Department S. Veterans in Politics International, the Nevada Veterans Association. We would also like to extend our sincere appreciation to our additional sponsors and community partners whose support helps ensure a professional, fair, and transparent endorsement process. We are honored to have all of you with us today. Before we begin the interviews, we'll review the rules and the format. First, panel members will introduce themselves by stating their names and the organization they represent. Next, each candidate will introduce themselves, and please include the office you are running for and briefly explain why you are seeking that position. We will then proceed to the interview portion. Please remember this is an interview and it's not a debate. Candidates may not ask questions of one another. All responses must be directed to the panel. In the interest of fairness to all participants, time limits will be strictly enforced. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer each question. When you have 30 seconds remaining, you will be shown a yellow card, and when your time has expired, you will be shown a blue card. You may finish your sentence, but please conclude your answer after that. After all panel members have completed their questions, each candidate will have 1 minute to make a closing statement. My name is John Brookhagen. I am not a veteran, but I am proud to represent Veterans in Politics International.
Good afternoon. Tam Larned, retired middle school, high school principal from the Clark County School District, former member of the Nevada Statewide School Safety Committee, and I'm here with Veterans in Politics International.
Patrick McRae. I'm a retired naval officer and former social studies high school and middle school teacher.
Leslie Caliano, retired CCSD employee and Veterans in Politics International.
Chelsea Fisher. Today I'm here with Nevada Veterans Association. I am also an Army veteran and I serve on Nye County School Board of Trustees.
Jeff Keach with the Deadbeat Chronicles podcast, also Army veteran, here today with the Nevada Veterans Association.
And you guys will take turns going first on each question. So right now, Mr. Hutchinson, you could introduce yourself and take 20 or 30 seconds to tell us why you're running for this position.
Thank you, Johnny. Rob Hutchinson. I'm running for School Board Trustee, District F. I'm running for this position. I've served almost 30 years in the Clark County School District. I started as a temporary custodian, and I'm currently the Director of Facilities for the Clark County School District. I'm running to help create additional pathways for students and giving them directly into the workforce.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your service. Irene Bustamante Adams. I'm running for re-election for District F. I am a wife of a military family person, and so I appreciate the service. I have served in the state legislature for 8 years, so public service is not new. Also have experience in the private sector, and I would love to be able to serve again if the public would have me. My grandson is the reason that I got in. He is now in kindergarten this year, and I would love to be able to continue the service.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank you both for coming. It really means a lot, your participation in this process. The interview will begin now. Again, my name is John Brookhagen with Veterans in Politics International. CCSD continues to rank near the bottom nationally in academic performance, yet graduation rates seem to be rising, which raises real concerns about whether students are truly prepared. Other states, such as Mississippi, have implemented policies such as requiring third graders to demonstrate reading proficiency before moving on, along with a stronger emphasis on phonics-based instruction. At the same time, our district serves a large population of English language learners and special education students. As a trustee, what specific academic policies or accountability measures would you push for or have you pushed for to ensure students are actually learning, especially in early literacy, and how would you address the gap between reported graduation rates and the real academic readiness? Ms. Adams.
Thank you for the question. So yes, what your statement is accurate. The state of Nevada has lagged behind in several years. I think that the hiring of our new superintendent, which happened this last year and I got to be a part of, is part of the transformation. Leadership matters. And so early literacy is one of the platforms that is the top 4, actually the first one. We have to get that right as a state. And so from a policy standpoint, you will be seeing changes in grading policy coming up soon. That changes what early literacy means for the state. As a school board, we are adapting a dashboard next month. She will be introducing the strategic plan that her and her team have been working on. Then it is upon us to either pass or not pass the metrics in order to focus on student outcomes. And as I said, literacy, early literacy is number 1. And that includes everything from intervention to also policy that includes grading. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, just you have to say question. I knew it.
Sorry, Jan. Thank you for the question. Yes, to kind of piggyback off a little bit of what Ms. Adams said, along with that comes accountability. That's something that I think that I've learned from our community as when I'm visiting our community now is they don't feel that they have input and accountability on some of these policies or procedures. And they also are talking about some of the fundamental basics. When we're going through this big change in the facility master plan right now, and what I'm learning from that is we have an opportunity to work on some of that early literacy with some of these buildings if we're intentional about it. That may be pre-K or kindergarten, all the way through 6th or 8th, whatever that is, but we have to be intentional and make sure we're working with our partners and making sure that we are holding accountability to our leaders who are the experts in these different literacy specialists that we have in that plan. I think that's the difference that we've seen in the past. There was no accountability and there was no collaboration, and that's where we can move forward to with these different policies and literacies.
Thank you.
You get to go.
So our new superintendent isn't necessarily new anymore. I'm going to put you on the hot seat because I know she's technically still your boss, but I'd like you both to give us a grade from 1 to 10, 1 lowest, 10 highest, not just of Superintendent Ebert, but also the whole, cabinet team that she assembled to lead the district, and then share a little justification as to the grade in which you assign.
Thank you, Tam. And send me my regards to your wife, also an educator. Yes, she is fairly new. I think we're reaching on to the first year of her service. This is a big animal. This is the 5th largest district, they say, in the nation. In my world, it's the largest with the acreage. I would grade her at around an 8, being that it's only been a year. I've seen her actually engaging in the community, which is a good thing, actually following through. And she's built a team of really great educators that I've gotten to work with, well, at least one of them. And I've seen them in the field also engaging and working on that. Now, with anyone, including myself, there's a lot of room to grow, and there's a lot of room to expand on that. The complacency part is the part that I think where we can move forward. Once we have momentum like we have now, we need to continue with that momentum. So for me, since it's only been a year in such a short period of time, I think we're about an 8, and we can always do better.
Thank you. Same question.
Thank you, Tam. I would grade Superintendent Ebert probably a 7.5. She just completed her first year in April, so just last month. Within that time, she has increased transparency, build relationships with several stakeholders in the community. Community engagement is an all-time high. And so those are targets that we set for her. And we are, for a first time, the school board will be doing an evaluation of the superintendent. Since I've been on, that had not happened. And so setting metrics for the one employee that we can be responsible for is critically important. And so I would give her a 7.5, and I would agree that there is room for improvement, not only in her, but in as a school board. And so holding ourselves accountable to make sure we give that feedback to that person so that they know what the vision and what targets that we want to meet.
I'm Patrick McCray. I'm sorry.
No, I was
They both
just
answer.
letting her know she's gonna get to go first. I was
yes,
just giving her
okay,
a, I'm sorry.
For a moment, Patrick McCray, Nevada Veterans Association. Little scenario for you. Say I'm in your district and I get to vote for you. I'm a grandfather. I have 3 kids in one of your schools. You come to my door. You got a minute to 90 seconds to convince me to vote for you. What would you say?
I would say, Pat, thank you for being an engaged grandparent, because that's a scenario that I'm in. As a grandparent, I knew that my child was going to be in the district in 3 years, and I wanted to be part of that solution. So first, thank you. Number 2, I would say, Pat, leadership matters, and I'm a seasoned person when it comes to public service. And so you have to have the heart, the right heart, to be able to serve and know that you're doing it for the community and for the constituents. And that's the experience that I bring to the table.
Thank you, Pat, and thank you for being there for your grandbabies. I would first listen. I would want to understand what your concerns are and understand what you think we can do better for your grandchildren. Then I would explain to you my experience in my public service from the get-go as a product of CCSD and immediately working for CCSD for near 30 years, and my own children going through CCSD, and share some of the same concerns and things that I've understood. I would reassure you that because I've had such service in the CCSD, I understand policy, I understand procedure, and I understand how it directly impacts both students and our staff. But I think the key is listening and understanding how we can serve your grandchildren.
Leslie Kellyano, Veterans in Politics International. For both of you, my first question is, should Title IX be ignored and boys be allowed to play in girls' sports? And should DEI be removed from the system, the CCSD?
Thank you, Leslie, for the question. I think Title IX is actually important. We need to have equity, and I don't think that I think that all children deserve to be safe, and it's important that we put safety first and we put the children first. That's my answer for those other 2 questions.
Thank you, Leslie, for the question. So Title IX, it is important. And I know that right now at the federal level, it's being debated on whether we should allow boys to play in girls' sports. And that's the courts to decide. My personal opinion is that I would support girls playing in their sports and boys playing in their sports. And so that is a belief of mine that we hold as a family. And so I would support that. As far as DEI in schools, I just can say that I'm a byproduct of the fact that diversity and inclusion is important because equity is not the same across all. I was afforded opportunities to be able to go to college because I was a migrant farm worker. And if I hadn't had that exposure, I don't think that I would have pursued post-secondary. So it not only allowed me to get into college on my own merit, but it allowed me to be able to learn what it meant to go to college because I was the first in my family and didn't have any mentors to provide that support. So for those 2 reasons, I would support DEI to also be included.
Chelsea Fisher, Nevada Veterans Association. The first question I have for you guys, and I have to preface this a little bit because you do serve on the school board, so I need to slightly alter this. I know you have obviously received some training from NASB, so I want to be a little bit more concise with my question. Have you ever independently read all of the NRS, which govern all of us as school board trustees? And I guess you can also share any knowledge.
Yes, it is.
So, Chelsea, the short answer is no, not all. NRS obviously is very complex. Even as a former legislator, you had to rely on experts in other fields to be able to cover all of NRS. But when it comes to education, the number of bills that are passed and become law, education is the number one committee that happens. So they're extensive. Now when it comes to things that are required, like ethics, right? Also the open meeting law, those, yes, I have read extensively because you get trained every year. And it's not just for trustees, it's for any elected position. And so that I would say that has been extensive for me.
Thank you, Chelsea. I have started reading a lot of the NRSs. I'm mostly familiar with NRSs around buildings and building codes and contractors. I started reading board NRSs when I decided to file, and I'm still learning most of those NRSs, and I have a lot to learn still.
Jeff here with Nevada Veterans Association. What programs would you promote to encourage more partnerships between the parents and teachers in teaching their students?
Thank you, Jeff. I love this question. There's a lot of opportunity with programs and engagement with our communities. I think the first thing that I've learned when I'm going out in these communities is they want to be engaged and they want to have input on some of these programs. The programs that are important to me are ones that directly impact our communities and our economy, which would mean students directly into the workforce. And those types of programs are the types that I would personally work on, whether that be skilled trades or other trades for students with intention in the areas in which the the need is at.
Thank you, Jeff. Some of the programs that I want to mention is one at Sierra Vista High School, which is in District F. What the principal did is to be able to have parent meetings at different times because not everybody works an 8 to 5. And they also have a very high English language learner population. And so creating different times for parents to be engaged was a game changer there. So I would support that. I would also support engagement with business owners, right? Everybody wants a very high quality talent pipeline. And so engaging more with the businesses, how could you do that? Number one, there is a business forum that is being redesigned so that if you as a business owner want a child to intern at your place of business, then you will have that opportunity by creating a more seamless process. And then the last one, I would support also having middle school counselors in the middle schools because we should start thinking about talent pipeline development at elementary, but especially at middle school before they get to high school.
Thank you very much. And you get to go first on this one. Immigration policy is set at the federal level, but its impact shows up in our schools. There's student walkouts, safety concerns, overcrowding, and an increased demand on support services like ELA. We've also seen situations where teachers are perceived as encouraging or participating in student protests and walkouts, where one student even got hit by a car, multiple students, which raises questions about appropriate boundaries in the classroom. At the same time, federal law requires public schools to educate all students regardless of immigration status. So as a trustee, how would you handle this, or how have you handled this practice? Should students be allowed to leave class to protest during school hours? What boundaries should exist for teacher involvement in such ordeals? And how would you balance the district's obligation to educate all students with limited resources, staffing shortages, and the need to maintain a safe, focused learning environment?
Ooh, John, that's a lot. I'm going to try to remember it all. But like I said, I'm a migrant farm worker myself. Now, my family has lived in the States for several years, and so have my parents. But I would say that we have a diverse population in this district. Not only are we the 5th largest district, but diversity is an added value, especially if you're a business owner and you want to attract and work with international markets. So yes, appropriate boundaries are needed and we have addressed it. No, I do not support kids walking out of school. I do not support teachers engaging, encouraging students to do that. There are boundaries that should be set up, and so those have been. I would also say that we have a diverse population of students, and it really is one of our greatest assets. We just have not treated it that way.
I'm also going to try to remember all those questions, but absolutely, boundaries are needed. 100% agree with that. Safety is the number one priority, and it concerns me that students have the ability to walk out and get injured. I support boundaries. I also do support education for all students, regardless of ethnicity or status. What happens in our schools is to educate and to keep them safety. I do not support teacher involvement in those walkouts either. And I think where we can do a little better, we do have policies in place, is holding those policies with an accountability.
And it doesn't really have anything to do with anything, but I saw this morning that Clark County is one of the least segregated counties in the entire country as far as how we mix our diversity, whereas other cities and counties might be diversified, but they're pockets. We are among the least segregated, which I thought was nice, but thank you.
Again, good afternoon. Tam Larnard with Veterans in Politics International. Since the enrollment peak in the 2017-18 school year of somewhere north of 320,000 students, CCSD has literally just hemorrhaged students, down now close to 43,000 students lower. Some might point to a lower birth rate, but the reality is, and we know, that parents and families are voting with their feet and they're enrolling their children in charter schools. What would you do as a board member with the one employee that you actually evaluate to suggest on how we truly make this a destination district and have families vote with their feet and come back to the Clark County School District?
Thank you, Tam. What I think is important is that we look at what we do really well in CCSD. And what we do really well and we have waiting list for every single year is our CTE programs. And our schools with the magnet and the STEM programs, all the parents want to go to. If you look at those same statistics, K through 8 is where our enrollment is low. But in high school, because there's not very many charter high schools, enrollment is on waiting list, particularly in CTEs. So I would suggest to our superintendent that we build on what we're good at, and then we take what the charters are good at, and we implement those programs into our schools.
Thank you. So you are correct in the declining birth rate, and I would say that we have 25,000 seniors graduating this year, 17,000 kindergartners. So that shows you the discrepancy, right? That kids are not being born. In addition, I would say that in the last 2 years, CCSD stopped being a sponsor of charter schools. So that amount of kids were taken off our roll and put into charter schools. That matters. So that is data. The things that I would support are the home visits that trustees and superintendents and staff have done to kids that have not been showing up to school or have not in the past. And so knocking on doors and going after and meeting those families, asking how we could, do you know that your child's not coming? How could we support? What is going on? Finding out how to serve. I would also say that as a business, you work on your marketing so that you would go and create how we can be attractive. I would also highlight the CTE programs that we have a CTE program in every single high school. And then the last thing I would say is that to develop a plan for those that are, not going into college, but going directly into the workforce, that they should have a plan already in place. And that's how we could increase our efforts for a destination district.
Again, Patrick McCray, Nevada Veterans Association. Having read the tea leaves, listening to the news, it's my understanding that CCSD will have a budget shortfall this year. If you would not mind explaining to me your approach to solving the decisions that need to be made during this budget shortfall. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So one of the things as an elected official, you should always be making sure that you're good stewards of the taxpayer money. So one of the things that we have done is approved a contract that the superintendent is carrying out for an operational efficiency study to look at not only purchasing, but transportation and food service. And so where are the opportunities for greater efficiency that we should be concentrating on to make sure that we're managing the budget well? Number two, I would say, where can we consolidate? We know that declining enrollment, we are going to have to come up with strategies in order to figure out where maybe we can consolidate schools and not operate maybe at a K through 5, maybe it's a K through 12 or a different model that meets the community. But there is room for efficiency, and that would be a role of the trustee to do so.
Thank you, Pat. Great question. In my current role, I'm over about a $20 million budget. I'm also a business owner. I own a bicycle shop. I know from experience that when I have a product that the customer doesn't want, I don't sell it. So I think it is great that we're doing these efficiency studies. I've been a part of these studies, and we will find some efficiency that we can do better on and tighten up on. But what we've done in my own department in CCSD is, and what I'm pretty much proud of, is we are the least top-heavy department in all of the departments in CCSD. I'm doing the role of what 3 administrators did prior. And why? Because I need the workers that actually do the work to do the work. That in itself is efficient. I've also developed a process and a plan that's been implemented in the regions for efficiency so that the schools that they serve are the same people that serve the same schools in the same demographic area, which is efficiency. We also focus a lot on energy conservation, water shortage, and those types of things. But at the end of the day, it goes back to the last question that Tam answered, and that is having the product that the customers want, our communities and our students.
Leslie Caliano, Veterans in Politics. My question is, do you support the continuing of CCSD assisting students with gender transitioning? And based on that answer, will you, as a trustee, work to remove or keep Regulation 5138?
Thank you for the question. You're good at giving the difficult ones. For me, those types of things that involve students on the personal level needs to be in the home and with the families. And I support what the families want to do with their children. And if they need additional support or service or guidance from our counselors or our mental specialists, that's where we should be more involved.
Thank you. So I would agree that stuff like gender transitioning is a family decision. So I personally do not support that in what I believe in. However, I know that we have families that that is their dynamic. And so I would want to rely on the family to be able to support their decision. Now, as far as the school district, if the student needs medication, right, our role is to provide the medication as prescribed by the parent. And so that would be my focus, to make sure that we are in compliance and that the child is safe while on our school grounds.
Chelsea Fisher, Nevada Veterans Association. So my next question will be, how much do you know about special education and how we handle it in public schools? And do you think it's impacting the general education classrooms?
Thank you. Yes, absolutely 100%. I think that our weakest area is that population, because we know that the trajectory of special ed students in our school district, in our community in general, is increasing. And so I teach on the weekends, and I have noticed the fact that I am not trained to meet the needs of special ed students with the other general population. And so it is our weakest area. I know that we are putting practices into place to be able to address it. In addition, by working with UNLV in order to get a cohort of leaders to come and be special ed teachers, because we have such a high vacancy. And so those kind of efforts is important if we're ever going to be able to address it.
Thank you, Chelsea. For me, I agree, yes. There is kind of a disconnect with special ed. We don't have enough trained professionals in special ed. I know firsthand from going to schools with infrastructure around special ed needs, and there's certain things that we need to put in infrastructure for those needs, whether they are the type that likes to run away, the type that it helps them with swings. There's many different things that are involved around infrastructure as well. So when you mix some of these types of students that need special circumstances in the regular schools that don't have those types of special circumstances, on top of not having a trained professional, then we have a huge gap. Tam earlier mentioned our enrollment numbers, or our enrollment numbers for special ed is actually increasing. And so I think that we can do better with increasing the training and the support with the professionals in that area.
Irene, Robert, before I get to my question, again, Jeff Keach here with Nevada Veterans Association. I wanted to bounce something off Chelsea's question. Why do you think the numbers are increasing for special ed? Either, yeah. After that,
We're going to have 20 seconds just to answer that follow-up. Go right ahead.
You know, I haven't really pondered why more special ed. I just read the data, if I'm being 100% honest with you, Jeff. But I'm not 100% sure. I know that my son had a 504, which isn't necessarily special ed. It's just a different thing that he was struggling with. I think that a lot of veterans probably struggle with in mental health. And I need to wrap it up. So thanks.
Jeff, I would say that there's better ways that we're diagnosing that that children have different needs. And so we're getting better at that. And so that's a good thing. But I would also say that the recession, and I experienced the actual detriments of being isolated during the pandemic that caused a lot of, especially girls, to have issues that they have not dealt with before. And so I just think that that is all a progression of why we're seeing more numbers.
I understand. And I'll skip to the next question if I'm running time. Do I have one more time for one?
I'm going to give him 60 seconds.
Guys, how do you distinguish education from ideological persuasion?
Say it one more time.
I had to read it twice. Don't feel bad.
Okay.
How do you distinguish education from ideological persuasion?
I'm not sure if I understand the question completely, and I would have to ask you what you meant by that. I would just say that for me, my belief is that everyone deserves a high-quality education, and it doesn't matter whether you're a migrant farm worker or you come from a balanced family, that everybody deserves the same high-quality education, and that your ideology should be at home. Like whether we, do prayer in our house, whether we go to church on Sunday, whether I believe in the GLBT community, that is stuff that should be discussed at home.
Thanks, Jeff. For me, it's about following the strict curriculum in education in schools and being straight in that path so that everyone has a consistent and equitable education.
Thank you very much, guys. And we're nearing the end, and we only have about 5 or 6 minutes left. So I'm going to just give you guys half time to give as many people an opportunity to ask a question, if that's okay with you. There's a clear breakdown in discipline across many CCSD schools. Teachers are dealing with fights, defiance, and even weapons. while also feeling like they have little authority to remove or hold students accountable, which is contributing to teacher burnout and turnover. At the same time, the board doesn't manage classrooms directly, so I want to ask you, what authority does the school board actually have to fix this, and what specific policy or system level changes would you push to restore order and to support teachers?
Thanks, Johnny. The authority that the board has is to create the policy and then hold the superintendent accountable for that policy. As it states right now, there wouldn't be authority to do that. But I could tell you from walking and knocking and listening to people that there's two things that their concerns are, and one is that, and the other concern is the transparency and accountability.
Thank you. I know that it is an issue in many school districts, in any school districts, whether you're in the rural or in an urban. And so the superintendent is the one employee that the trustees can hire, and it is up to that individual to create a safe learning environment for everyone. And that means teachers, support staff, that means for students, that means for trustees, right? We need an environment to be safe in order to conduct our business. And so we have put policies in place for that, and I would just reinforce those policies.
Thank you. Tam Larnard, Veterans in Politics International, retired middle school and high school principal. So this question is kind of a little bit near and dear to my heart. So principals have to make some tough decisions, and especially when it comes to student discipline or a student being disciplined. And parents don't always like the outcome of the decision. And so let's say in District F, you have a parent who doesn't like what, I don't know, Spring Valley's in District F, right? Yeah. Doesn't like what the past principal of Spring Valley decided when it comes to maybe expelling their child, whatever. But they go directly to you. They have or have not met with me, but they go directly to you and want you to solve their problem. How would you handle that situation? And what do you think the appropriate protocol should be?
So yes, Spring Valley is in District F. It's now a 5-star school, so I'm really grateful for the progression that they have made. I would say that you get that question all the time because people don't understand what trustees are responsible for. They're responsible for 3 things, but you need to entertain all questions from parents, and I would direct them to the board liaison that would bring it up to the superintendent. So that's the proper protocol.
Thanks, Tam, for the question. That's dear to my heart as well. I think when we get questions from the community that we necessarily don't do the day-to-day work on, the key is making sure you're communicating that to the appropriate people, but more importantly, following up and communicating with the community member that may have called. I'm obviously going to hold the superintendent accountable, and that she or he is going to hold their team accountable for those types of things. And by the way, discipline actually saved my life in school.
Thank you. Again, this is Patrick McCray, Nevada Veterans Association. I view politics as kind of a disagreement resolution process. When you have disagreements with, say, your fellow board members, your staff members, or your superintendent, who would you consult for advice and why?
Thank you, Pat. I'll wait for Johnny to do the timer.
Please, no, go ahead.
Disagreements are normal, and it's good to have these disagreements. That's how you learn and grow with each other. I have disagreements every day. In my field, I'm a professional problem solver. Every single day something happens, and we figure out how to get it fixed and worked out. Consulting is with each other. I have a team of over 500 people, and when I took over this team, it was a mess. There was a lot of disgruntled people, and there was a lot of disagreements. But by working together and building a team, we were able to get outcomes that were directly impactful for students. And I think that's how the board should be as well.
I would agree that conflict is in your everyday life with your family members, your coworkers, and even on a school board trustee. The way that I've handled it, right, is to understand where that person is coming from. If I needed to consult someone, I would consult one of my mentors. Most of them are previous educators in that realm, or I would consult mentors from my business community. And lastly, we do have CCSD does have a consultant, and governance is one of the things that we get help with, which includes conflict.
Leslie Caliano, Veterans in Politics. What are your views on age-appropriate health education in the schools, particularly human sexuality, STDs, and birth control? At what age do you believe these topics should be introduced? And how would you approach decisions about curriculum content in this area as a trustee? And to piggyback off of that, how much time should a trustee spend in their area schools?
So in this area, it's up to the family, right? So there's an option whether you want your child to have that information or not. And so what is right for my grandson at age 5? Was it right for my daughter when she was in middle school? That's our choice. And so I would refer back to the family. As far as curriculum content, I would say that the process is you have a committee that the trustee is allowed to elect somebody to review that content. That content has not been up for several years because there's been nothing new that has been added or deleted. And so I would, rely on that process. For me personally, it starts at the home.
Thank you, Leslie. I agree. It's 100% starts at the home, what's appropriate for that family and their beliefs. And as far as the content is concerned, yes, we follow the curriculum and the content that we have, but maybe since it's been a while, we should revise and look at that content and see if it's appropriate now. I'm going through a lot of policies and procedures we have now. The other day, I was updating a policy that was from 1966. So I think it's really intentional that we look at all the policies and go from there.
All right, guys, thank you very much. That's going to conclude the interview portion of this section. What I would like you guys to do is to take 60 seconds, and you could talk directly to the voters or the panel members, whichever you prefer, and explain after this experience, you introduced yourself, but why should voters in District F vote for you for trustee of CCSD? Mr. Hutchinson, you can begin.
Thank you, Johnny. Voters should vote for me because I've lived the life of CCSD. I know the policies, I know the procedures, I know how it affects our community. I am a community member. I am a business owner. A little bit about me. I was a foster child as a kid. I mentioned a little bit to Tam earlier that saved my life getting in trouble. That's how I became a foster child. I lived on the streets. I got in trouble in school, and I was on my friend's couch, and the mom smacked me in the head and said, "Get up, go to school," and became my foster parent. That changed my life, and that made me the man that I am today. Hard work, and I am all about hard work. I already have a plan ready for every single school to visit with intention, to learn, to listen, and to help these children have a chance. We need to give back to our community. We need to focus on real workforce ideas and really serve our kids with what they can do to be in the workforce. The trades have done that for me, made a great life for me, and I think it's important. It's for everyone.
Thank you, everyone here, for the opportunity to come before you. And so I think that listening to community stakeholders is important, and that's part of my DNA. I've done that in the private sector. I've done that in the public sector. And so I've demonstrated that I am a balanced, I am a hardworking, and a seasoned leader. So I have the skill of building bridges to be able to cross and get over to a resolution. And so I would ask for your support. I would ask that you would consider me. Public service is in my DNA. We're a military family, and I would love the opportunity to continue to serve for District F. It's an honor. I would love to be able to continue working on the things that we've been working on, the budget, governance, and also work and ready balance for kids. Thank you.
Thank you, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but I think it's really important, your guys' participation in this process, and we greatly appreciate it. I want to thank Tam, Jeff, Leslie, Chelsea, and Pat, as well as Mark Jonas, who's doing our production back here. We'd like to also once again recognize and thank our sponsors, Judge Mary Perry, Clark County District Court Family Division Department P, Christine Brewer, Clark County District Court Family Division Department S, Veterans in Politics International, and the Nevada Veterans Association, and of course our additional sponsoring partners for their leadership, support, and dedication to veterans and to the integrity of our non-judicial process. Thank you all for your professionalism, respect, and participation, and best of luck. Godspeed.
Thank you.
Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, live stream on Facebook.